Good morning and welcome back to the Ask the Jacks platform, where you can ask a seasoned contractor and a lifelong businessman questions about all things construction related. Whether you're a first-time home buyer, you've been a contractor or a specialty contractor or a handyman, or you've been a long-term developer, we're here to take our knowledge and impart it to you. My name is Tim Melton, and I have been in construction my entire life. I am almost 41 now, and I think I picked up my first paintbrush and started painting when I was 15. And now I'm licensed general contractor in multiple states. I am a licensed electrical residential journeyman in Washington State. I am also the electrical administrator. I've also got lead-based paint, and I'm a licensed mobile home installer. And we've done everything from building maintenance jobs, working for property preservation companies, working for property management companies, commercial maintenance, commercial building, new construction, additions, remodels. We've seen it all. We've been through all of it, and we want to take all this knowledge and give it over to you. And one of the questions I get all the time here, and especially I just got a call last night again about a lady who owns a couple acres of property, and she's like, I want to buy a house in town. And I asked her why she wanted to buy a house in town. And she said, well, I have these acres I could build on, but I'm not sure if I should build. I'm not sure about the timing. So, I mean, really, is it better to build or buy in 2022? That's the question. And when I was on the phone with this lady, it got me really thinking about all the different things. Because last year in 2021, I bought a piece of property and I was going to build my family's home. It'll be my first custom home for my family. We've always bought before. And by the time it was all said and done, we put the septic in. We had a prime 3-acre piece of property with a big 4,200 square foot hay barn on it. Just needed one sign, some insulation. I'd had a giant shop from a construction company, which would have been pretty cool on 3 acres. But we put the septic in. We had all the utilities. We started doing the math. By the time we got done doing a owner builder, which was really a builder owner loan, we can do another video on those type of loans and how they work. But by the time we got done going through the process and I got done doing the math, it really just didn't pencil out. The cost it would take to build a new home, the amount of time, the amount of displacement it would take for my family, didn't work out for us, so we ended up buying another house. But that doesn't necessarily mean the things that happen to me are what would happen to everybody. So here in 2022, it's a completely different world. As we know, houses are starting to skyrocket. I've seen people that have bought a house last year and it's worth $100,000 more up here in central Washington, where we're based out of. I've talked to people down in Texas, North Carolina. I've looked into stuff all over. I've got friends and looked at all kinds of stuff. And what I'm finding is houses are appreciating pretty fast because people are moving around the country, with just due to COVID, due to work shortages, due to whatever. People looking for better opportunities and a different setting than what they've been living in. So the question you guys have is it better to build a house in 22 or buy in 2022? At the end, we'll talk costs, but I want to go over a few things you got to think about. And this is what I had to evaluate for my family when we were looking to build our house. First of all, do you have the time to build a house? A lot of people don't realize, but when you go to build a house, it takes a while. From the planning stages, by the time you get the blueprints drawing, that can take anywhere. If you have some, like our company, if you're having our design team draw your house and with a prescriptive architecture or whatever for the state, you could be 2 to 4 weeks out, depending on how big, maybe even up as much as 6 weeks. By the time you get that done, and then you go over and you get the permits, which right now permits in all the areas I'm looking at seem to be 6 to 8 weeks is pretty normal. City's jurisdictions, city says they can do it in a month up here where I'm at. In Texas, I was talking to some people in northern Texas, and they seem to think you could do it in about 3 to 4 weeks. Raleigh, North Carolina, where I was looking over there and talking to some folks over there, it seems to be just about as long because people are moving in and building in such high quantities and so quickly that the building departments are having a hard time keeping up in some of these states. So by the time you get done with having your drawings done, having the permits done, and then before you can even submit for permits, like here, you have to have an adequate water supply. You have to make sure that the driveway and your site plan is going to work for fire prevention. And I know Washington State's a little bit picky on all this stuff, but all of these things, plus you already have to have your well done, and you have to have your septic designed before you can do anything to match what's going on here, before they'll even go into permitting for us. And so all of this could add up to 3 or 4 months in time in just the planning stage from the day you bought the land. And then the time to build the house, depending on the size of your home, the style of your home, whether it's a barn dominium, a stick built house, whether you're going to build an attached, how many buildings, if it's in the city, and you're going to build, you tend to go a little faster than out in the county, just because the utilities and stuff are usually right out at the street. So these things are all stuff you got to consider. You could be 1.5 to 2 years in, depending on your builder, and if you have somebody that actually shows up and is dedicated to your project, depending on some material things, which we'll talk about more in a little bit. Also on the permitting process in the area where you live, how many permits you have to get on new construction. Generally, you have to do quite a bit of permitting. You have to permit everything. In Idaho, I know over there's some areas where you barely need a permit for anything. But in most jurisdictions, in most areas, you're going to need to permit to make sure it's structurally going to hold up to snow loads, wind, and those things. So those are that's one of the biggest drawbacks. If you go out and buy a house, generally, if you're doing cash, or if you have really great credit and you can get a pre-qualified letter, you can close most houses within 45 days. If you're cash, I've closed deals in 2 weeks, or 15 days. So it really does depend. So if you're looking to move quickly, you got a new job and you're trying to figure out what to do, you can, if you're buying a house, you can flat out just get into where you want to go faster. The downside, another downside to building is if you have to have somewhere else to live. So not only if you get a construction loan, you still have to make your monthly payments towards that construction loan. If you own the land and you have a mortgage on that, or if you own the land cash, but you're going to finance building the house, then you still have to pay the interest on the loan for the entire amount the whole time you're there. So if you're going to build a $400,000 ginormous house, right, you're still going to have to make that $2,000 a month payment. Plus, you have to have somewhere to put your family to live while you build. Some people live in a trailer while they're on site. Some people come up with all kinds of different ways, or you have to pay for a rental. So there's going to be some additional costs along with building that you wouldn't get if you just bought a house. You move in, you start making mortgage payments, and you're good to go, or you buy it cash or whatever, and you don't have any mortgage payments. Start making tax payments and insurance payments. You still have to pay insurance. You still have to do everything when you build. However, you still also, when you buy, you don't have to. Now, this is coming from a guy who is a builder. I want to build your house. I want to remodel your house. I want to do these things, right? But these things you need to understand up front. I would rather you be happy and comfortable than be miserable and hate me because I'm building your house and I sold you something you didn't want. So as a builder that likes to build things, there are that obstacle. Where are you going to stay? And do you have the time that it's going to take to be able to build? Are you willing to invest? Now, I know there's companies out there like Adair Homes that are somewhat national. There's design companies that say they can build anything in 6 months. 6 to 8 months, and they have a price per square foot built in, and they have all these things. But what they don't tell you on a lot of these is they don't do the foundation work, they don't do the slab work other than the garage, they don't do any of the outdoor work, they don't paint. So there's all these things in the red tape when you get to looking into the square foot that has additional costs and that take additional time. And if I find with a lot of these in my area, because most of the subcontractors come from about 3 hours away because they just work cheaper than the local guys, I guess. So they come up from there. So if you have anything that got red tagged in a permitting situation, or anything that was warranty issue related, it could take a really long time to get these guys to drive in 3 hours to come up and fix it right. So I'm not saying they're not good options. What I'm saying is you got to do your research 100% if you're going to go that way to build, and find out really what the time costs. Because really, the average contractor will take you a year to build the house, but they don't tell you about the 4 months it can take to get the permits done, so before you can even lay the house out on the property. There are some, like in Ellensburg, here where I'm at, they do have, or in Kittitas County at least, they have an accelerated process where you can pay a little bit extra and build the foundation up front so that you're ready to go when it comes. But if they change anything on the plans, then your foundation won't fit and you may end up costing you money. And so it's a little bit of a risk. The second thing we would like to talk about as far as is it better to build or buy is there are some material shortages right now. That is definitely a problem. And so if you're building, I know windows can take 8 to 16 weeks, I was told. I was talking with a builder down in Texas where they build a lot of brick siding, and brick is really hard to get. I know that if you have things made out of plastics, my septic guy up here is telling me coming up on plastic tanks, it's very difficult. So you're having to pay concrete tanks, which cost more when you can get them. You got to order them 4 weeks in advance. Truss companies up here, at least in my area, because some of them closed down, but they're 8 to 16 weeks out on general. So if your builder is not ready to go right away, like the second you have permits and you're getting a check-in or getting some kind of cash so they can order materials immediately, that could cause some serious delays. I know there's been a lot of delays on appliances too. So if you're going to build and you want to build on a budget and you want some things to consider, are definitely don't be picky on the type of appliances, maybe on the color or whatever, but really you're going to be at the mercy of whatever you can get. On windows and doors, there may be substitutions and some fluctuating material costs there. Framing materials, they kind of fluctuate, so you're going to make sure your builder up front, you want to make sure that whoever you have building this place actually does a percentage to account for the fluctuating material, so you don't get some bonus bill at the end. So these are all some things to consider, just the amount of time it could take to get the materials to build. But a pro of building is you can get a piece of land right where you want it, and you can build the house exactly the way you want it. So I have a very large family, so we can't do anything shy of 5 bedrooms. I have 7 kids, so you can't do anything shy of 5 bedrooms. I mean, we got to have people moving and shaking. I've got to have a decent sized laundry room to be able to push laundry. So for me, building and designing an option has to have at least 3,500 square feet, so all these kids have places to move and shake, and we can get all the bedrooms. We can have a big enough kitchen and dining room to feed our family. So by building, I get exactly what I want. I get my deck to face the way I want. I can look at the sunset or sunrise the way I want. I can watch my driveway the way I want. I have a little bit of room on where to place my house, what kind of pitches I want the roofs, where I want the snow to flow, how I want to block the wind with my building. I have all of these options, right? That I can do because I get to pick the footprint of my house. I get to pick the layout, the design, the height, how many stories, how many stairs, whether there's a basement, all of the stuff. I get full control over the design of my house. And if you're saying this is it, my forever home, well then building, and you have the time, building's a great option for this because you can design it exactly how you want. And whether you use our design team or whether you're working with some other builder, they can do 3D rendering so you can walk through and fully know the building before it is ever built and exactly what you're getting into, exactly how the kitchen flows, exactly how the laundry room flows, where the bathrooms stand. All of this can be done. So on a custom home, if you have the time, it is definitely worth it if you want to build your forever home. As far as building spec homes, and setting up that kind of time, like developing a piece of property, putting 2 or 3 spec homes on it, time still applies. But if you're building multiple homes on one piece of property and you have the finances to be able to push it, you can tend to move things along a little quicker because once you got all your subs or your people on site, they can move from one to the next, right? And if there's something that needs to be picked up on the other one, they can jump back and get it done. So if you're developing, let's say you parceled off 5 acres into 1 acre parcels and you're building 5 country style homes or whatever, some townhomes, some 3-story townhomes. It does give you a little bit of flexibility if you're in the development world on what to do. Personally, for me right now, I'm a big fan of the hybrid. I think buying and remodeling is how I like to do it. I just personally, when we sold our property, decided not to build, that's what I did. Bought a house that was only half finished with an unfinished basement, which was really the first floor. And we were able to take that square footage and build it out exactly the way we want. So I didn't get to choose the siding. I didn't get to choose the windows, but I also didn't have to wait for all this stuff. I was able to buy the house. Part of the house was able to live in. Even if you buy one that's not completely, like my sister-in-law just picked up one, they had to gut the whole thing out. And so she had to pick up a house for 3 months. 3 months is still way faster, even with permitting and everything, to get something flipped and turn around than it is to wait on a new build where you got to go from foundations to insulations all the way to, putting in the trim and the doors and the towel bars, So if you can, looking at the hybrid situation is really where I tend to lean. So if you could find something that's got a good bones, a good foundation, doesn't have a lot of water problems, or maybe it has some things that need to be fixed. Like I know we just flipped one that had had some issues that we had to come in and take care of. But being a contractor, it was no big deal. We came in and were able to put this house back together in a beautiful fashion, all new granite, all new everything on a reasonable budget. And able to get it ready. And you can do that with your home as well. As far as, let's talk about the cost, right? What is cheaper to do? Is it cheaper to build or is it cheaper to buy? Well, it really all depends on what you're looking at, because really the time that you put in does have a cost to it. If I want to go through, and right now in my area to buy a 3-bedroom house in an old tract neighborhood on a 7,000 square foot lot, you can pay anywhere from $375,000 to $450,000. I'm seeing them go usually over $400,000 to build, and so that works out between like $260 and $280 a square foot. There are other big developers like D.R. Horton in our area that are building new construction, and I think they're saying they can build them at around $260 a square foot if you buy one of their plans that they already have pre-approved. I tell people for a custom build, that $200 to $300 is pretty normal, depending on your extravagant taste for finishes and depending on well, not depending on, but really not including the extras that you have to put into like renting and waiting for it to be built, right? But if you're going for that forever home, and you're okay with that time wait, and you're okay with, hey, I'm gonna pay for what I get, right? Because in the end, you also need to evaluate what's the house going to be worth with it when I'm done. So if I go in and I buy the tract home exactly as it sits, most people first thing they do is change out the floor, or they'll change out the paint color. Maybe there's some punch list items on the home inspection report they got to fix that they didn't haggle over, because it's easy enough fixing roofs, replacing a window, maybe fixing a door, whatever, updating the kitchen or whatever. You add up all these costs, and in the end, you're going to spend on the 1,600 square foot tract home with your upgrades and remodels. You're going to spend, $450, $460 at the highest, $410 at the lowest. And then you want to go out and build that same 1,600 square foot house. And if you're at $200 a square foot, hey, I should be able to build that for $320,000, which is great if you can build it at $200 a square foot. But $200 a square foot is giving you basic fittings or basic trim. It's going to be 2-inch square stock, or maybe a colonial or something on your trim. You're going to get basic white vinyl windows. You might be able to put, depending on how big your kitchen is, you probably can put in a thinner granite, contractor grade granite, and do that. You're going to get $5,000 budgeted in for your appliances. You're going to get no landscaping, and you're not really going to get much of any kind of exterior patios or decks in that price range. So there's those things to consider, because really when you build a property, depending on the property you buy, obviously there may be some landscaping or whatever, but generally you tear up the yard to put in the septic, you tear up the yard for this, you tear up the yard for that, and then you got to build it out. So any decks, any fencing, any sheds, any barns, a detached garage, all of that is an additional cost that you're going to have to put on the end there. And that can drive your $300 or $200 a square foot, or $225 a square foot. Depending on the building costs at the time, all the way up into $350. I've seen all the way up into $400 a square foot by the time they got all of their driveways put in their big, huge detached shop and all these other things. You're at $400 a square foot, and you still have to buy the land. And so if the land is included in that price, it's really going to cut down on what you're able to build. Where you could buy a house that's already done, remodel or build an addition on the end of it. And I'm a big fan of additions. Whenever I look at a house, I'm like, okay, if I had to expand this to fit my family, what would I do? And a lot of the times there's always a way to do it. And some houses, we've looked at few, there's absolutely no way to expand it properly. Roof lines don't work or expand it at a cost-effective rate. You can expand any home, you can addition any home if you want to tear the trusses off, right? Or if you really want to upgrade the foundations or whatever. But what's the most cost-effective way to do these things? And so you're looking at $300 a square foot. By the time you get done with land, between $200 and $300 a square foot to build it. Some of these guys have come in and said they can do it at $175, but like I said, there's a lot of additional costs involved. They say $175, but you've got to prep the land, you've got to put in the septic, you've got to build the decks, the fences, walkways, driveway, all of that concrete. And concrete can run from anywhere from $9 to $15 a square foot, depending on what you're doing and how you're doing it. Your fences, I don't know if you've seen the cost of cedar, but it's pretty high in most area for a cedar fence. Steel is goes up. So chain link fences, all this stuff has a cost. So if I was to pick right now, if it were me today, buying a house that's perfectly ready for you, if you can find one in your budget, is absolutely a great way to go. If you really want to build your forever home, and this is it, I have time, I have money, and I'm waiting, and I have a piece of land, and I've got an idea, and I'm willing to do it, then building your custom dream home, that is the way to go. However, I think the hybrid way is building a remodel or building in an addition in a place that you can live is the most financially way to build value in your home, to build equity in your home, and to get to where you're going. Finding something that you can work with already. You still have to go through the permitting processes, but you can be living in the home while you're doing all of that. It's not easy to live in a home that has contractors there, but it can be done. We've done it lots of times for other people. Sometimes they want to stay on an RV in the garage, or there's some stuff, but at least you have water, you have power, you have all of this stuff going on. You have shelter there. We can work things out depending on what you're doing. So price per square foot can be very comparable. However, with things being material shortages and stuff, I just, in my opinion, right now, it's better to build, or better to buy than to build, strictly because you know when it's going to be finished. And then putting in your additions and stuff, smaller quantities of things can be found. I mean, you can pick up 3 or 4 windows, if that's all you have in your addition, off the shelf at Lowe's or Home Depot or something if you need to. You know what I mean? So it gives you more options. Even though the cost to build an addition is the same to build a new house, it doesn't necessarily mean that you are going to be displaced and have all the costs of rentals and costs of living and not be living in a place that's already there. You still have permitting and design and some other things, but I think overall it's still the best way to go. If you can buy, and if you can't buy your dream home, can you build an addition on it? Can you build that within budget, between that $200 and $300 a square foot range, at least up here in the Northwest? I know down in Texas, you should be able to build those much cheaper because the building practices or whatever. I live where there's lots of snow and lots of wind. So if you're down in Texas, or if you're down in Arizona or something, those building costs could be between $100 and $150,000, or $150 a square foot, just because you don't have to build with 2x6, you don't have to insulate the same. So, but the percentage wise is the same. You know what I mean? So, however much you're going to pay to build, the difference between cost of building and buying should still be relatively the same ratio. You know, it could be $50 more a square foot to build, but you get this. You know what I mean? So, yeah. If you have any other questions, I appreciate you watching this all the way through the end. If you have questions, please put them down in the comments below so that we can come through and help you guys answer more and make more videos. We're going to strive to put out as many videos as we can that are relevant to the questions we're being asked. So whether it's about business practices, whether it's about construction practices, whether it's about maintenance or property preservation, whether you're opening a new company, you have questions, or a specialty contractor, I think this is the way to go. And a lot of people ask about building a barn dominium versus a stick built house. Maybe I'll do a video on that next. If there's some interest, let me know. Thanks again. And once again, I'm Tim, and this is Ask the Jacks, and we look forward to seeing you in the next video. Thanks.